Hi, this is John Mark, and I'm welcoming you to John Mark on the Crossroad, where real people meet real issues in the real life and find real solutions. And that is what life is all about, where real people like you and me with real issues encountering real situations and dealing with real things that we meet every day. And today I want to talk about the transformation mind thought, the mind pattern that actually can lead to transformation in a spiritual way, in a business way. And like today, I want to invite you. I'll be having a beautiful talk on business for men. So if you're not a man, don't join us, please. Okay, you check that on our Facebook. But we're talking about men, and this is the transformation we're talking about. We want to transform men so that men can transform their families and transform the generations and the generations to come. Because the Bible talks about a wise man is the one that leaves wealth and investment for his children's children, not just planning with the children only, but the children's children. So today we're talking about the transformation thought pattern. What is it that you need to go through? The series, the 7 steps that you need to go through when you really want to be transformed. You need to have your destiny sorted out. The best way we can be able to do that is to walk together. I love what the Bible says in Romans chapter 12, from verse 1. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. That tells you a lot of things about if you want to be transformed, you must start with the mind. If you want to be changed, there must be something at the mind that we need to deal with. So, what exactly are these things that we're talking about when we talk about transformation? We want to go through from where the kitchen, where the cooking is done, all the way to when the final product is. Now, tell background gives me an opportunity to be able to know that if you want to get a good meal, you must make sure that the preparation is done well. If you want to make a good person, you must make sure that the thought pattern is done well. So, the first point that we deal with when we're talking about a transformation and we're targeting to transform someone's life is to deal with the issue of the thought. What exactly goes through your mind? What is it that goes into your mind? Now, when we talk about the thought, we're talking about everything that runs through your mind. How do you deal with them? These are ideas, the imaginations, creativity, dreams, the things that you allow to run through your mind. If you allow useless stuff to go through your mind, trust you me, you will turn out to be a useless man. But if you allow beautiful things to go through your mind, you will turn out to be great. Now, great men are not great because they were born great or because they learned to be great, but because they controlled what went through their minds and they dreamt what they wanted to be. They dreamt what there was great that they wanted to achieve in a life. So you must manage your mind thoughts and the things that you allow to go through your thoughts well. Because if you cannot transform your thought and maintain it and contain it, the truth is this, it becomes the devil's workshop. And the devil's workshop is destruction, is dangerous. It is actually evil and wicked. That is why the Bible, nowhere in the good book have we ever been told that share with someone a piece of your mind. No, the Bible doesn't talk about, but it is out of the abundance of your heart, which means when the mind has settled it and has sorted it out and it settles in the mind and it becomes your conviction, then you share it with him. That's why Jesus warned that it's not just, it didn't just say stealing and committing adultery. He said it is cooked in the heart. Somewhere in the mind is where the thoughts are. When you manage that well, you come out great and better. So that is number one, dealing with the things that we feed our mind. And the other day, I just talked about the things that are how we can train and trim our mind to think in a particular direction. The books you read, the messages you listen to, then the words that come into your head, it's important that you manage that. Now, the second point, which is very, very important, is the words that things that proceed out of your mouth. You see, if permanently you are talking about, I can't do this, I have never done this, I will never do this, I'll never achieve this, that actually gets to be grown into your system. I love what Ephesians talks about in Ephesians 4:29. He says, let everything that come out of your mouth minister grace and be a blessing. In other words, choose to be a blessing to people. The Bible talks about it. The power of life and death is in the tongue. So what comes out of your mouth could either destroy or build. The Bible talks about a woman can build a house by just the words that she speaks. So you need to ask yourself, what exactly do you want to say? All right. Now, good wisdom from Isaiah. Isaiah says, be slow to speak, quick to hear, listen carefully. but be slow. In other words, think through it before you speak it. Because whatever you speak, my friend, you must think through it. You must give it a careful thought before you say it. You must make sure that when it comes out, it becomes a blessing. Make sure when it comes out, it's an encouragement, it's an inspiration to someone. It brings life, it brings that which is good. Because the more people hear you a blessing to them, the more they will want to be part of what you're doing in their lives. The more people know you're a blessing to them, the more they want to listen to you. But if every time they listen to you, they just hear negative things, they hear comments that are destructive, they hear messages that are poisonous, they listen. I've listened to people when I do my counseling sessions, and people tell me, I would have turned out to be good, but my grandmother told me this when I was a kid, and I believed it, and it's haunted me all my days. Or my father told me I'll never make it in life. Or my mother told me I will mount to nothing. And you believed it. The problem is this, that the more you believe all the negative things that people say about you, the more you begin to produce that which is negative in your life. And you'll end up reaching a point. I had a friend, and this friend of mine, when I did my A levels, and he was my classmate. And up to today, I use that as an example of someone who must never do a thing like this. He used to say that I would not love education. This was his philosophy. Each and every one of us, we were trained by a lovely lady called Mrs. Gadura that we must have a philosophy in life. And thank you, Mrs. Gadura, for taking us through that in our literature class. She told us, have a philosophy in life, have something that inspires you. And this is what my friend said. I will not mention his name, but this is what he said: I'll not let education interfere with my comfort. And trust you me, up to today, I meet him sometime in town, and he didn't go far. Why? Education did not interfere with his comfort. While we read, he slept. And today, he asks you for bus fare, but it's interfering with my comfort. That is my hard-earned cash. The thing is, his philosophy didn't take him far. He spoke it, and up to today, he thinks he has comfort, which unfortunately has not mounted to much. So watch what you say. Everything that proceeds out of your mouth, let it be a blessing. Let it be an encouragement. Let it be an inspiration. Let it be thought through before you speak it. Let it be something that you know, inspiring, encouraging, and be a blessing. Because then that is what you become to people. People believe you when they hear you speak. So that's why the Bible says, do not lie to one another. Because if we believe your lies every time, trust you me, they will never believe you when you're even telling the truth, because they know they can't trust you. Number 3 is actions. How does that tell us about you? Your actions speak louder than your words. You can say I'm a very good person, but all we need to do is look at you. The things you say, the things you do could be totally two different people. Things parallel to one another. So actions is a sign towards transformation. When you've chosen to go in a particular direction, then that becomes a reason people begin to trust you. People begin to look to you. People begin to know you are a good person. The things you say, the things you do. In fact, a lot of people struggle with, why is it that the Bible seems to be keen on what we do? Because it says a lot about you. It says a lot about who you are. Your action tells us about several things. I'll mention 4 of them. Number 1, they talk about your belief pattern. In other words, what is it that you believe? Your belief system. What do you believe in? Because that's what you do. Like if you believe in prayers, you'll find yourself praying. If you believe in going to church or going wherever you like to go on Sunday, that is where you will go. That's your action. Like I know of a friend who never used to go to church. And you know what he used to do? He would bring his family at the gate of the church, drop them there, and they go. So when his son, turned 13 and went through initiation, when he came when he came home after going through the healing process, one day the father went with them and dropped them at the church, and the guy said, okay, all women and the kids get out. And the father said, and you too. He said, Dad, men don't go into church. Why? If it's not good enough for you, I don't think it's good enough for me. In other words, his action said more than he actually thought. Our words might be good, but our actions speak. Number 1, it tells you about your belief system and patterns. Number 2, it talks about your conviction. Your action tells us a lot about your conviction. What is it that you're convinced you should be able to become? You cannot tell us you love this and you do the opposite. Forget politicians. Politicians will say one thing today and say something else tomorrow. We are not following them because we don't trust them. I don't trust politicians. Maybe you do. But because they will say it when it's convenient. I tell people, politicians have got 2 things. Really. 1 is to be elected, and number 2, to be re-elected. Everything else must go into that direction. That is where all their actions head to. Elected and be re-elected. If it gives you something that is not related to election and getting numbers, trust you me, there's something different about it. But we have some who are good. We have some who are good, and we love the ones who are good. But most politicians have those two to go. But listen, belief pattern, number one. Number two is your conviction. The action tell us about your passion. What is it you're passionate about? What is it that drives you? What is that makes you want to live? What is that makes you want people to know you're different? That we can see by the actions and the things you say. I am passionate about training, empowering people, helping people be different. That is why you see me even today on Facebook, and you can go on my YouTube. But you know what? The reason is because I believe that is the only way I can have an impact on someone's life. When I am finally done and my days are over and I'm gone, I pray someone will be able to remember he touched my heart and he touched my life. But the things he said and the things he did. And I pray I will. And listen, the last thing is this: it is your drive. What is the energy? Where exactly is your energy placed? Is in the action, the things you do. And if the things you do drive you, it's your passion, it's your conviction, it's your belief pattern, people will believe you. And that is how we get transformed. You cannot expect to be different today while you are doing the wrong thing. It's like trying to drive a lorry, and you're trying to drive a lorry, but you're going on the reverse and hoping you'll get where you're supposed to be going to the front. No, you won't get there. So put your actions exactly where you'd want the transformation to take you. Put your actions exactly where you'd want the greatest impact. Put your action exactly where you would want people to know that is a touching corner. It's your G spot. It's your real spot. That spot that transforms people's lives. Number four is your habit. You see, when you have transformed your thought, and then you've transformed your words, and you've transformed your action, it develops into a habit. And this is the repeated action that you've done over and over and over and over again. The more you do it, the more it becomes part of you. Now, psychologists tell us that if you do it 21 days consecutively, continuously, then you'll end up making it a habit. Well, some people have tried that. I know people who've tried that more than that. Some people say do it 40 times. Some people say do it 66 times. The truth is, they just make it a habit. Just keep doing it. Just keep doing it. That's why Jesus said, when he was asked, how many times should I forgive someone? He said 70 times. Seven. That's 490. Oh, you're still counting. Stop counting. Just forgive and keep on moving and make it a habit of forgiving, making a habit of being a blessing. You see, that tells us a lot about things. It becomes your routine way of life. It becomes it gives you a sense of belonging. That is your comfort zone. I call it your comfort zone. You've repeated it so many times. If you love loving, love to the point that you don't pay a price to it. If you love giving, be generous, because that then becomes your comfort zone. You find it easy to be generous. That means that's your transformation. That's the direction you're going. If you're a teacher, I was taught by one man in my primary school. I have never forgotten, and I use this every time I do a training. He's called Mr. Tongo. Mr. Tongo told us that if you love football, play football until people complain you're too good. I mean, do it so well. He loved football so much. Listen to how serious he was. He had a bicycle. All our primary school teachers rode bicycles. He had a bicycle, but he would come dribbling in his games kit, dribbling, just playing ball from his house to school every day. And that's what he did. And he loved football so much. So I still believe if you love something, do it. Let people complain you're too good. If you love reading, read until people are saying, excuse me, you're finishing all the books on the planet. But keep reading. If you are a preacher, preach. You will never know when you practice it and practice it until you can do it well. And you become perfect in it. It becomes your comfort zone. It becomes that place that you'll find easy to be in. And that habit becomes a transforming habit. It becomes a transforming lifestyle. Remember, number one, I said was the thought. Let the thoughts be right. Number two, let the words be a blessing and an encouragement. Three, let your habit, your actions be that which has been thought through, that which you become, so that people can actually look at you and love it and trust you. And number four, make the habit what exactly you wanted it to be. When you do that, people then will be asking, wow, why is it that you are different anymore? That leads to point number five. And point number five is your behavior. You know, there are people who are trying to tell us, I am this way, but they behave like this. I love this, but they behave this way. Your behavior as a result of a habit is a transformed way because it is as a result of what you consistently have been doing. Many of us make the mistake of once in a while behave differently and then hope that the habit will show up and undo it. No, because you've made it a habit, it then becomes your behavior. It becomes what you do every day. It becomes your lifestyle. It becomes what you must and always will be able to do. Listen, friends, your behavior tells us a few things about you. Number one, like I said earlier, it tells us your conviction. It tells us that which you're passionate about. It gives us a degree of understanding your identity. It becomes your lifestyle. It's like if you're reading and we find you in the library, we'll almost say, oh, we know that's what he does. He loves reading. It's become a habit. It's become part of who you are. I mean, it's like you could not have been a police officer, and then when you have quit the force, suddenly you can't even brush your shoes and you can't iron your clothes and your hair looks like you've got dreadlocks. All no, it becomes, there will be a conflict of character. It will be a conflict of behavior, conflict of who you really are. So we can look at you and be able to know you have been like this. Like if you want to know a teacher, there's a way they are disciplined. If you want to know a soldier, there's a way they go through things. If you want to know an accountant, there's a way they do things. If you want to know a preacher, it's been a thought through, it's been a word, that's what he speaks, it's been an action, it's been a habit, it's now his behavior. Now your behavior tells us a lot about you. That is a transformation process. We saw you think through it, we saw you speak it, we saw you act it, it became a habit, and finally it's become your behavior. And that tells us, I said, it tells us a few things. Number one, it tells us your conviction, what you're passionate about. It gives you an identity. There is no way people will be able to say, what you did is not like you. Why? Because it's not what we know. It's not your behavior like. It's not your character. It's not what we know you about. It becomes your lifestyle. That then becomes a transformation. That, my friend, number 5, then leads us to number 6, which is what I keep slipping through my mind. It be then your character. You see, your character is shaped by so many things. I could go on through a whole long list of things that shape our characters, but some of those things change with the time. But when you make it a habit and it becomes your behavior and it becomes your action and it becomes what we see, there is no way when we see something different out of your character, we'll be able to tell that something not right. Like if there's a way you do things and suddenly we see it, we will be able to say, that's not like him. That's out of his character. Your character is a transforming aspect of who you are. The transformation we see in you is based on something that you have built over the years. Some people will tell you that, how you are brought up in a home, what school you went to. And I know that is very important, that the school you went to, there are schools that target. Today I was having an interesting conversation with my children. And I was telling them that we take you to school not just so that you get papers. Those papers are nice, but they are not the ultimate. Papers are good when you're looking for a job, but you know what will keep you in the job? Your character. It is not the degree that will keep you in a job, it is your character. I had the privilege when I finished training in college. I was at Utali. My first job when I left was not because I applied. No. Twice, ad managers came in and said, we would want you. I'm not saying because I'm perfect. I'm not saying because I'm good. But someone told them about me and they said, if you want a manager, look for this guy. And you know what? They picked me up. And when they picked me up, I worked with them. And I've never regretted. They did not regret. I moved on to do other things. Now I'm a minister. But one thing I realized, what excites me is this, that every time people know your character, that is what they're looking for. They're not looking for the peppers. Peppers, people can fake them. And in Kenya, you can go to River Road and get peppers. You can get some done in India. You can get some done anywhere you want. But the truth is this, your character will not be betrayed if it is solidly based on a training, a thought that has gone through, a conviction that is real. It tells us, your character tells us about your belief. Now it becomes an action. It tells us about the convictions in your life. It becomes real. It tells us about the drive that pushes you. It becomes real. And it tells us about the passion that makes you want to do things different. It becomes a real person. That it becomes the real you in action. We wanted to look at you and say, this is a transformed person. This is a different person. This is a unique person. That your character is a sign of the transformation process from the thought to the words, to your action, to your habit, to your behavior, to your character. Now, when you have gone through those 6 points, then we will reach our destination. and that is your destiny. You see, your destiny is that transformation center we were looking at, the transformed person we were looking for. Now, I have a problem with the generation, the young generation we have today, who have been told they are excellent, they are good, and everything seems to be nice for them. And so a lot of them don't take responsibility for their actions. A lot of them, parents blame themselves for the failures of their children. I grew up in a generation, if you passed and you are going to school, you went to school. Your father gave you pocket money and you went to school. Today we have to take them, follow up with the teachers, help them with the homework. After they finish, we do their exams. We are more stressed when they are doing exams. We are more candidates than they are. Then they finish, then we start looking for them a job, and then we get a job. We still keep them in our houses. And then finally, when they want to get married, we want to choose for them who they should marry. And then we must they bring us children so that we are proud grandparents. The question is, when will they decide for themselves? When will we know who they really are? When will their character come out? When will they reach their own destiny? That is why some of them, when they've finished exams and they've passed, they bring the certificate and say, Dad, this is what you wanted. Now I want to be something else. What I want to be. In other words, their true character comes out because what you wanted, you got it, and that wasn't their true selves. This becomes. So what is this destiny we are talking about? We're talking about our final goal, our real self, the real ultimate person we ever wanted to be. You see, when you have a child or a staff or a spouse who don't seem to know where they are going, or they don't seem to know the purpose for which they were created, or they don't seem to know what it is they want in life, it becomes a real uphill task. I call it the wheelbarrow syndrome. You know what a wheelbarrow syndrome is? If you don't push it, it doesn't move. If you don't push, it doesn't move. It means you have to be the one that pushes it. It might be carrying the load, but you know, the more you push the wheelbarrow, the heavy the load on you, the one pushing it. Many of our friends, many of our family members, many of our spouses, many of our children do not know what they want to become. And so they become wheelbarrows in our lives. We have to push them. Our lives cannot be transformed until we ask, what do you want to achieve? What do you want to achieve? Did you realize in Jesus' ministry, something very unique happened? Jesus kept reminding the disciples of what heaven is like. He kept reminding the disciples what heaven is like. And he would say, heaven is like this. The kingdom of heaven is like this. And then when he was about to leave, he said, in my Father's house, there are many mansions. In other words, I want your mind focused on the destiny. I want my mind focused on the destiny. I want you to see where we are going. Because when you're convinced it's the right place you want to come, you're coming. Death will not remove you. That's why Paul writes and says, neither life nor death, nor he gives a whole long list in Romans. No demons, no angels, no hunger, no poverty, nothing. Life itself will not take me away from the love of God that is in Christ. And you see, that basically gives you the conviction to know when you know the destiny, nothing will stop you. You'll think it, you'll speak it, you will act like one heading there. When I talk to young people and I tell them they want to choose a career, I said, be sure what you want to choose, because if you're not so sure, you will run away before you even start. If you want to be a doctor, have a visit to hospital. Spend an hour, 2, 3, a week with the doctors. See them walk around. Ask for an opportunity to be in the operation theater. If you still want to be there, it will be fun. But if you run away, trust you me, look for something else. The point I'm trying to drive home is this. When you know the destiny, when you know your goal, when you know the final product that you want to become, nothing else stops you. And so I talk to men and I tell them, do you have the dream for the family? Your dream for your family. Because that dream makes the difference. Now, every time I talk to couples, and let me just, as I come to the end of this conversation, every time I talk to couples, I tell them that, when a woman reaches the age of maybe 12, they begin to dream the ultimate of what their family and home would like. And they begin to think about their children. They think about retiring together. They live happily ever after. Okay? They live happily ever after. And they are asking themselves, sorry, they're asking themselves, when I get into a relationship, I get into a marriage, and I get into a family, what do I want to achieve?